Yeah, go on then.
One thing I would say is he's got 3 years left on his contract. He's at a club who are in the Champions League. Mark has outlined, and I have in the previous part, about everything that Newcastle represents, everything that is already there. One thing we haven't mentioned is who Newcastle United are owned by. They are, is it 80% owned by the Saudi Arabian Sovereign Wealth Fund? So they have absolutely no reason whatsoever to sell him. We say every player has his price, but if you're 80% owned by PIF of Saudi Arabia, then you don't really have a price. And I can't imagine somebody sitting down and trying to negotiate with them if they don't want to sell him, and they don't want to sell him.
And a penny in January when they really needed some help with all the injuries they'd had in the months leading up to that. And as you say, these PSR rules are so tight for Newcastle at the moment. But if James is saying, potential £100 million bids from clubs for Isak this summer, that must be pretty hard for Newcastle to turn down. You feel like they're vulnerable to a big bid coming in for someone like Isak because, as you say, how important he is to them, and with Wilson, struggling with injuries, but being a good goal scorer when he does play, but not always being able to rely on him. Isak is important, but at some point Newcastle might have to do a trade-off. And I guess the real thing for them is they need to get European football to try and boost those finances, to boost the revenue, because then that gives you a little bit more room on the old PSR. Or how that's worked out, but of course last night was a setback for that because they could have gone up to 7th and they just missed out there.
It really comes down to the game plan that the gaffer set up, and I think they executed it in a good way. And these games are about details and about moments, so I knew my moment would come, and yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe no. I try to be relaxed. I try to stay calm and focused. So yeah.
£1 move. He'll finalise paperwork later today. Personal terms not expected to be a problem.